Hello, it's Ashley here and welcome to my kitchen. It's a Saturday afternoon at about 4 o'clock. Apologies for the light, it's not brilliant. Our lighting in our kitchen isn't very good anyway, but we're going to do some cooking and I don't know what day it is you'll see this, probably Tuesday, I don't know. But we are going to do a lovely one pot meal. Mr. Paper and Twine says hello to you all. He's in his office doing some work. I will just take you over and show you what we are going to cook. So welcome if you're new here, welcome if you are a returning viewer, you are very, very welcome. We are going to cook this Polish stew from the Two Chubby Cubs cookbook. I have shown this cookbook on my channel before, but I haven't cooked this recipe for a very long time. It's a hearty looking dish that has got lots and lots of gorgeous things in it. One thing that I do want to show you, and sorry for the shadow that you're seeing of me holding the camera, all of the recipes in the Two Chubby Cubs cookbook, and there might be another book now, I don't know, I'll have to do a search, they are prefaced by a really funny little bit of writing, and I love these guys, and my camera is making funny movements, so again I apologise. Every recipe has a little bit of blurb and they are hilarious, and this is what they say for this one. It says, this is a recipe that always gets trotted out towards Christmas because it feels like one of those meals that lends itself to a cold, stormy evening. When you've been married as long as we have been, every evening is cold and stormy, but we make do. You mustn't be afraid of sauerkraut, by the way. Yes, you open the jar and it smells like something broke wind and died in the kitchen, but it's bloody lovely stuff. The vinegar and farts smell evaporates off and leaves you with a lovely thick stew. So I'm sorry, vegetarians, this is not one for you, but I suppose you could substitute some of these ingredients for meat substitutes. So we have got 2 whole red peppers. The recipe calls for 4 large tomatoes. I've got 5 medium-sized ones. I've got 400 grams of boneless, chinless, they are chinless, boneless, skinless chicken thighs. I guess if you were vegetarian you could use corn fillets, and I've got I will need 4 bacon medallions. These are low in fat, an onion, some button mushrooms. The recipe calls for, I think it's 300 grams, but I've got, I think it's a 200 gram pack. Yes, which will be fine. The recipe also calls for low fat sausages. I didn't have any and I didn't see them in the recipe, but we did have these in the fridge. So I'm going to adjust the calories accordingly. 1 leek, some chicken stock. You will need 1 litre in total. I've got this that was in my cupboard that needs using up, so I'm going to use that and I'm going to make the rest up with a chicken stock pot. You will need some red wine, a bulb of fennel, 5 cloves of garlic, some paprika, some sauerkraut, there is the farty windy sauerkraut, and a tin of new potatoes, 600 grams. Mine are 540 grams, I think, 560 grams. So I need to do some prep. I'll set you up so you can watch me. The recipe says to grill the peppers on a high grill for 4 to 5 minutes. I don't like using my grill, so I've just cut these, put them on a baking tray covered in foil, and I'm going to stick them in the oven for 20 minutes and then have a look at them. We've done all our slicing and dicing, as my friend Mindy would say, and now it's time to get on to the cooking. So I've got quite a large pot here. It's probably bigger than I need, but better to be safe than sorry. And I'm heating up this large casserole on a medium heat, and I'm just spraying some low calorie spray. Let that sizzle a bit. Bring in our chicken. Sorry that it's probably not going to be the best view. And obviously I've been handling raw meat. I've washed my hands thoroughly. Here we go. So I've got my tongs. I'm going to just put these in to brown a little bit. You're not actually cooking them fully, we're just browning them. Chicken is just browned and resting a little bit, lightly browned, and I've added my bacon. You can see this lovely fond on the bottom. We're going to be scraping all that up in a minute. Just going to cook that lightly. And I've just added the onion and the mushrooms. Don't ever wash mushrooms, wipe them with some kitchen paper. And you saw me slice the bigger ones. The medium sized ones I cut in half, and then teeny tiny ones I left whole. So we're just going to give that a little bit of a stir until the onion starts to brown a little bit. There's not a lot of fat in here, so I'm not going to get a lot of browning without sticking maybe. That's actually starting to smell really nice now. Now I'm going to add the garlic, fennel and the leeks. That's all going in. And oh, there's a mushroom there that escaped. And I've cut my 4 sausages in half for better portion control, because these are full fat sausages, so I need to adjust the recipe a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to just give this all a stir. You can pick that bit of fennel up, waste not, want not. I've got some little bits in the bowl here we'll put in. I have to say that when I was chopping the fennel, it smelled amazing. I do love that aniseed smell. That everything is coming together really nicely. So I should say that this recipe serves 4. There will be 2 of us eating it. There will be leftovers for lunches. Look at the lovely colours of that. So we're going to just cook that for 7 to 8 minutes. So it's had a couple of minutes. I'm just going to leave the heat on that medium, and I've added 3 level tablespoons of paprika, just ordinary paprika, not that smoked paprika. And it's starting to smell really nice, and as there is liquid coming out of the vegetables, the leek and the fennel, it is scraping up those lovely fond juices from the bottom. Now I'm cooking this ahead a little bit, so I'm going to get to a stage where I can leave it in a minute before I want to heat it up to eat it, but we'll just keep going. Okay, that's had about 7 minutes. I'm now going to return my chicken to the pan. Sorry for that clatter. I've left the chicken resting on the lid of my pot so I don't have to dirty a plate up. And we will put these little bits of chicken juices in. Obviously they're pink because the chicken isn't cooked fully, because this isn't finished yet, but we will not waste those lovely juices. Pop that back there. We're then going to add a drained tin of new potatoes. That's that going in. There's something about new potatoes that are really nice. And then in this jug here, I've got 250 millilitres of red wine, just cheap red wine, nothing fancy, and 200 millilitres of my litre of chicken stock. There we go. And we're going to bring this up to the boil. And just stir. Give everything a good mix. Who is it who says give it a mix so that they get to know each other? Is that Babish? Binging with Babish. Does anybody watch him? And my heat's gone right down, so I'm just going to turn that up a little bit. You can see that lovely colour from the red wine and the paprika going on there. So I'm just going to let this come up to the boil. So it had come up to a boil, and you can see I've added the char-grilled peppers and tomato that I blitzed up in the food processor, along with the sauerkraut and the remainder of the stock. And it is now much later in the evening, but I don't want to eat this yet. We normally add dinner about 7. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the lid on this, turn the heat off, and it will need 45 minutes on a simmer. When I come to reheat it, I shall check the seasoning. So this Polish stew has been simmering for 45 minutes or thereabouts, and I've added a little bit of seasoning, salt and pepper, and a little bit of red wine vinegar, because the sauerkraut that I used this time didn't seem to have the acidity of the sauerkraut that I used last time. So we're just going to plate this up, and I'll show you what it looks like in the plate, and then I'll give you the verdict at the end. So we have finished eating now, and it was really tasty. I added a little bit of Frank's hot sauce to mine, just a little dash, which was lovely. I've got all this left. Yeah, it says serves 4. I think it would serve many more. My verdict is that it's very tasty. The sauce could be a little bit thicker. Mr. Paper&Twine said he really enjoyed it, but was it a stew or was it a soup? There's lots in there, but not a lot of meat. But I think we need to be mindful of how much meat we're consuming if we are meat eaters, don't we? Yeah, so I'm going to be back later with a cost per portion. So it's a couple of days later now, and this is a really lovely recipe, but the cost of it actually really shocked me. This is maybe not budget friendly. Let me know down below what you think, but I've just gone through the receipt and I've added up the cost of everything. Where I've used half of a packet of bacon medallions, for example, I haven't put down the cost of the whole packet. So chicken thighs, the majority of this stuff was from Aldi. Chicken thighs, £2.85, half a pack of medallions, £1, button mushrooms, 85p, 2 red peppers, 84p total, 1 onion was 26p, third of a bottle of red wine, 250 mils, £1.10. Bought the cheapest red wine. I did buy fresh tomatoes, big tomatoes, £1.59. Leeks were 65p. Chicken stock. Now I used a ready-made stock. You could really get the cost of this down by using a stock cube or making your own stock if you've roasted a whole chicken. So it was £1.75, which is quite costly. And then I used a Tesco chicken stock pot as well, which was 24 pence. So there's nearly £2 just for the stock. If I was making my own stock out of leftover vegetables and chicken, you know, the cost would be pennies. So savings to be made there. The fennel was 63p, half of the pack of the cheapish sausages that my husband bought, 75p. Paprika, now I like my herbs from Sainsbury's because I like the little pots that they come in. They are 95p on average, but if you buy the same thing from Aldi, it's only 59p. But mine was from Sainsbury's, so quite a lot of the pot was used. I've estimated 20p. Garlic, roughly 10p. Sauerkraut, again quite expensive, £1.85, and the new potatoes was 65 pence. So that comes to a grand total of £15.31. I've divided it by 4. It comes out at £3.82 a portion. Now, to my mind, that's quite a lot for a midweek meal. £3.82 a portion. I was shocked actually at how much this cost. However, there were 6 chicken thighs, which I didn't chop up. I left them whole. And I think that you could chop those chicken thighs up. And I think then this would serve 6, which works out at a much more healthy £2.55 a portion. The meat portions are quite minimal in this, but there are a lot of vegetables. And yeah, I've had it for my lunch today. I'll probably have it for my lunch tomorrow. There is a lot of liquid. You could then blend this up. Once the meat is gone, you could blend up what's left into a really nice vegetable soup. So that is Polish chicken soup, courtesy of the 2 chubby cubs.